Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to my YouTube channel where usually we talk about something I'm real passionate about, which is arcades, my game room. But one other thing that I'm extremely passionate about is my love for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know, you got to really be loyal to like the Jacksonville Jaguars because it's one of the few teams in the NFL that consistently year over year struggles. But I love them. Diehard fan, and we're going to turn this around. But as we woke up this morning, I seen it late last night, I think around 1 o'clock in the morning. The owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars did send out a message that he fired Urban Meyer as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you go on to the Jacksonville Jaguars Facebook pages, social media sites, you read the comments, there's a lot of different feelings for this, specifically because Urban Meyer, although extremely qualified, extremely successful, and being in Florida, being the head coach of the Gators in college, right? Big interest level from fans around the area, excited about Urban Meyer. So you're going to see half of the people talking about that, and then the other half of the people saying that it was the right move. So today on the channel, we're going to talk a little football, and I'm going to discuss my 5 reasons why it was important that the Jacksonville Jaguars fired Urban Meyer and moved on. Let's check it out. All right, so look, guys, just like I said in the opening sequence, Urban Meyer was hired for a lot of reasons. I personally was super excited when we were going to hire Urban Meyer because it gave us a fresh start. It gave us somebody with a winning culture, and I was super excited. Now, I don't watch a lot of college football. I mainly watch the NFL, but all I knew about Urban Meyer being in Florida is that he's a winner, he's extremely successful, and he does have a high IQ for football knowledge, right? There is a reason why he was given the opportunity to be a head coach. I don't think anybody online right now saying that he was, that it's not saying that he wasn't qualified. He was qualified. But I do think he's the perfect example of why some college coaches struggle with going to the NFL. So here are my top 5 reasons why it was important that we fired Urban Meyer as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 1, leadership. Okay, so leadership is very important. You are the model for your team to, live off of. You set the standard. You set the accountability in your organization as the head coach. And let's face it, some head coaches do answer to the general manager, but Urban Meyer was given a blank check. He controlled everything. Our owner gave him complete control from top to bottom on the organization. So, he was it for us. And one of the things that I really think he was lacking from the standpoint of a head coach is every time they asked why James Robinson, the running back, wasn't in. Well, I don't micromanage that. You'd have to talk to the offensive coordinator. You'd have to talk to the running backs coach. And then later, we would read reports that he specifically was holding James Robinson back. So again, right, talking about integrity and leadership, you can't do that. You can't sit there as the head of the organization and use words like, oh, I don't know, or great question, I don't know the answer to that, or, well, let me check with somebody else even though I'm the head person in charge, right? To think that a head coach would be on the, sideline during a game, having his best offensive weapon on the sideline and be like, well, I didn't notice that he didn't play again until the 3rd quarter. Come on, man. Got to lead better than that. So just from a leadership standpoint, I don't think if that's how he was in college, it doesn't work at the NFL level. And I really don't like the pass the buck mentality, which I think is what he had. There was no ownership there, and it sounds like he had a lot of accountability for his assistant coaches and his players, but he didn't really look in the mirror. So, number 2, the difference between NFL and college. And there's a lot of differences, right? How the game's played, the play calls, how the quarterback usually takes, the beginning of the play, either from shotgun or some other position. But really, to me, the big difference between NFL and college is in college, you were handling a lot of men young men working towards the goal of being a professional player in the NFL, making millions, versus going to the NFL, working with players that have already been in the league 5, 6, 7 years, maybe came from other teams. This is their livelihood, right? This is their livelihood. They're no longer as sculptable. They are who they are as players. So you can't go in and treat it. One of the reports yesterday that I think was a nail in the coffin is when he went up to Josh Lambo, who in Jacksonville had a very strong following. He was a great field goal kicker for us and had his first 4 seasons had over a 90% accuracy on his field goals. To go and kick him and say, hey, hit your damn field goals, right? This isn't a college kid. This is a guy that put in 4 years with the team and had a great reputation. And you go in and say, well, I'm the head ball coach, so I'll do what I want. It doesn't work in the NFL. So that was never going to work. So that was number 2. So we got leadership. We got differences between the NFL and college. Here's another one, right? Morale. That's the third one. The morale of the team. When you get reports that your best receiver, Marvin Jones Jr., and let's keep it real. Even though when we got our tight end, Arnold, he quickly became our number 1 target. For the first few games of the season, our quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, Marvin Jones, that was his target, right? Chenault, because we don't have the speed guy, we've tried in different things, and in some games it worked, some games it didn't. So if you look at some of his deeper throws and some of the harder catches, Marvin Jones Jr. was the one catching those. And when you got somebody like that is walking out of practice, again, right, because it's all about the difference between NFL and college, walking out of practice because he just doesn't want to deal with them anymore and having to have other coaches convince him to come back, that's a problem. You can't have that in your organization, right? Coaches coach, but at the end of the game, at the end of the day, the winner and loser is determined by the players on the field, right? So your number 1 receiver, your leadership locker room, he is the oldest, I think one of the oldest players we have in the league. I believe he's been in over 10 years in the National Football League. To just put him to the point where he's ready to walk out 13 games into the season, right? That's kind of ridiculous, right? You signed him in free agency. He wanted to come here, and he's already storming out of practice. Morale does impact an NFL team, especially when you're losing. I do agree with Urban, right? When you lose a lot, it's frustrating. Well, if you lose a lot and the coach is treating everybody like crap, it's not going to fix anything. So that's number 3. Number 4, and probably the one that is, one of the 2 that is upsetting me the most, free agency. Right? Jacksonville already has a bad reputation. We lost players like Jalen Ramsey, who is one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in the league. Not wanting to play for us. Literally saying, nope, can't play, got a bad back. Trade him to the Rams. He's playing that Sunday. Right? He didn't have a bad back. He was sick of the way the organization was ran. So we get a fresh start with Urban Meyer. And, different drama, same story. Players walking out of practice. Free agents are not going to want to come here. Right? If you read about the Jaguars all season long, what you're going to hear are things like, hey, we need free agents. Well, guess what? Even if they were released completely, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, they ain't coming to Jacksonville. Maybe if at the end of the day all they care about is the check, since we're going to have the second best budget next year to sign free agents for salary cap, maybe if all they care about is the money, they'll come to Jacksonville. But, tell Devontae Adams or Chris Godwin, 2 people that are playing at a high level for winning teams, going to the NFC and AFC championships games and going to Super Bowls, right? Tell them to then go to a team that has struggled to win more than a handful of games every year for pretty much ever except 2017 in the past 15 years. They're not coming to Jacksonville. So that and the fact that we're already a small market team, you can't expect that his poor leadership and the drama he was causing didn't, create just a nail in the coffin to our free agency. So hopefully, we'll be able to get a different coach in, because I definitely don't think Bevel is our answer, right? The offense is struggling. Maybe he was being held back by Meyer. Maybe we'll use James Robinson a lot more. We'll see, give him a fair shake, but I don't know if he's the answer for, the football coach next year, the head coach. But it's a fresh start to at least show that, things are changing. And I think selecting the next coach is going to be very, very important to how free agents are going to want to come play for Jacksonville, because we're not going to be able to just go through the draft to fill all our holes, right? We have the money to spend, but we need the right people to want to come here. And then certainly, last but not least, the number one reason why I think it's important to fire Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, right? I believe in him. I think he's the franchise player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he is going to be what we end up, becoming a successful team from. It's his leadership. And to throw so much at him offensively, where he's struggling because he doesn't have a lot of help, he can't spend the first half of every interview answering questions about the drama in the locker room, the head coach. Can't do it. We have basically wasted the first year of Trevor Lawrence's career with crap, right? Essentially. And again, right, offensive struggles. I'm okay with saying, hey, here's the football answers for how we get better. But some of the stuff he's had to endure his first year in the league, based solely on how the coach is handling things, it was time to move on. Because at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence was always our football future, not Urban Meyer. So there we go, guys. The top 5 reasons, again, I got them written down here, that it was right to fire Urban Meyer for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Leadership opportunities, difference between the NFL and college, morale of the players, free agency, and last but not least, protecting our quarterback and putting him in the right environment to help us become a winning team and franchise. So there we have it, guys. Please, if you're into football, I know that I usually do my arcade channel, but please, if you're into football, I would like to start talking about my passion for the Jacksonville Jaguars more. So leave some comments below. Tell me if you agree or disagree. I'm pretty sure some of you will be like, Jaguars, who cares? Right? But I do. So, let's have a great conversation. And until the next time, have a good day, everybody. Thanks.